Hello and welcome to another episode of Dad's Diag. Today we have a 2010 Mazda 6 and it's a friend of mine and he's going to need rear brakes. He said it was making a funny noise. I already cheated and did the other side and found that one pad was down to the metal. So he definitely needs a new brake job and rotors. So come along for the ride on the second side. Let's get the wheel off. See how easy this wheel comes off. One little smack. Alright.
Oh, the camera is off?
Oh, okay.
I'll cut that out.
Oh, okay. As you can see, these rotors are not wearing evenly at all. They're pretty in bad shape. I don't even know what's going on the back, but it's probably worse than the front. There's nothing being used here, nothing being used here. It's only here in the middle that it's being used. And it's making some funny noises. So let's get this caliper extracted. That's a 14 millimeter. And you can just use any ratchet wrench on that because shouldn't be a lot of torque on them. Yeah, there we go. Nothing to it. And come off by hand. Now I'm not going to take this one completely off because I have a trick to show you. These are the emergency brake is the screw-in type. Which means, let's get a screwdriver in there and pry that up a bit. Ah, there we go. Now, let's get some light on the subject. See in here, it's got the screw type, which means it's got this type of a piston that you don't just push in. If you do, you probably could damage your caliper if you try to just push it in. It's got to be screwed in, and I believe this one, the other side was clockwise. I'm going to do clockwise on this side. It should be the same. If you look at our pads, it looks like there's looks like this front pad is down to the metal. And you can see that because you see the scrape marks here. We're down to the metal. So let's get this calipers backed up. And for that, I use this. It's a little cube that I got from the AutoZone, and we just have to match it up to the indents on here. And I believe it was this one. No, it's one with the 2 indents. That's 4. That's 2. So I put that one on, and it fits right in. And I'm leaving it on here because it's very hard to hold it with your hand and screw in it at the same time. So I'm going to let the car do some of the work. This one's pretty stuck. very slowly, very hard to do. The other side was a bit easier. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if you can see that. I may get you on another tripod, get you a better view. There we go. This caliper was pushed all the way out, so it's going to be hard to get it back in. This is why I don't do it totally detached, because it's just hard to keep this straight. I don't have the other tool. I haven't had to do these that often. Let me try something. There we go. That might hold it still. You gotta turn it about 4 or 5 times before it's all the way in. Now you can see the rubber boot is starting to bulge. I have a pick. I'm going to let the air out of that because we don't want that boot to get caught under the piston or it'll be shredded. And you'll have all kinds of leaks and seizures. Not good. It's getting easier as you go in. This one doesn't, they don't seem to have a place where they stop. So I just wait till I don't see it moving in anymore. You can physically see it moving in. It doesn't look like it's going in anymore. Should be enough. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to get the pick very carefully. Don't puncture it. Lift it up. There. And now the air is gone. Get the dirt out of it. So there, the air is let out. That's the way the boot should sit. It's not hanging over on the piston. All right. Let's clean it off. Nice and flat. There we go. Just got to get most of the rust off. And then I have to position that so that these notches are perpendicular to the direction of the wheel spin. Like that. The reason why is these pads have a, or some rust out, they have a pin right here that fits into this so that when the brake comes in and out, it doesn't spin this. Alright, now let's get these brake pads off. Let's get this rotor completely off now. You can check these. That feels a bit loose. I might want to put some more grease in there. Now this caliper is pretty lightweight, so I'm not going to hang it. I'd hang it from a spring if there was one showing, but it's back here. I just get it back in there. That should be good enough. It's not hanging by the brake line. That's a bad thing. Alright, so you can check that. That one's a little more viscous. I can feel it. This one feels a little dry. Pull it out. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. I'll clean it and put some more grease on. Alright, now we have to get this caliper bracket off so we can get these pads out. And this rotor is just in bad shape. It's how old? 14 years old? And it's never had a new rotor on it. Probably never had brakes put on it before. So we need to bring out the big guns. It's 14 millimeter. Oh, that's tight. There we go. I've had some that have been tighter, but this is not too bad. Yeah. Makes a little noise when it breaks loose, but it's okay. Alright. And the bolt should just slide out. There we go. Here's one.
See one? See one?
Yeah, it's on. Gotta loosen that a little more. Oh, I can use this. Now that I broke it free. It's coming off. You can see the rust just flaking off. New Jersey isn't technically the Rust Belt, but we're close enough. We only salt in the winters. Up with Erico, they get salt year round. I feel his pain sometimes. There we go. Alright, get the caliper bracket off, and we can see if I can get this pad out. Can't. Here we go. This pad wore unevenly. Just the top is down the metal, and we have about a couple weeks worth of pad there. This wore unevenly. See that dent in it? And it's jammed in there. I'm gonna have to hit that with a hammer. That explains why there's more on here. He never really got a good shot at getting any. Oh, wow. Once I get this rotor off, I'll show you. A big divot in the rotor. So that rotor had to be replaced. Luckily, we were prepared for that. Let me get my hammer. Where's my hammer? Give this thing a whack. There we go. Yeah, she's loose. She's been on there for a while. And look at that. There wasn't any brake pad touching here at all, just here in the middle. It's amazing he had any rear braking power. So yeah, discarding that. All right, give that a spin, check the bearing. Feels nice and smooth, no gravel feeling to it, no noise. So we're good there. So what we got to do is, let me point you down a little better there. There you go. Sorry. Okay, I can only get in certain spots. I'm going to use a brush for the remainder. Not a big one. Just trying to get the X, but it fits. Get that rust out, and then later I will grease this hub. I don't have any fluid film or any spray lubricant to shove in there. I do it by hand with some lithium grease. You want to get the rust off of here. You want it nice and flat so that when the rotor sits on there, it sits flat, and if there's any rust chunks attached here, it'll wobble and you'll feel it in your brake pedal. You'll think you have warped brakes. Really, what you have is a dirty hub. So, gotta clean the hub, at least in the Northeast. Let's take a look at the, see there? All that rust here. It's not a problem yet. It's a lot of surface rust, but that's what we get in New Jersey. This bearing's good. I don't recommend replacing it. That's good. Give it a look over while you have it. Do a little more cleanup. All the spaces you can't get to with that other thing. I don't have the one that goes over top. Maybe in the future, if I do enough of these, I'll get one. There we go. She's clean. A little grease on her. Right in here. So the next guy who comes in here can get this rotor off without a whole lot of trouble. No hammer. All right. Now we will turn our attention over to the caliper bracket. Now take my hammer, knock it out. Okay. Oh. There we go. Now, you see in here, he is rubbing real hard. He's down to bare metal, which means there was some rust jacking going on behind these. These are the sliders. They're made out of stainless steel, and everybody thinks, oh, you got to put grease here. You really don't. It's back here you need to put it. That's where the rust gets behind it and pushes it in. That will grab onto your brake pad and not let it move. Now the brake pads we got for this job did not have hardware, but I was okay with that because these are fairly easily cleaned because they're made out of stainless steel, and the rust isn't too bad. See, doesn't take much to bring them back. There's not much rust on this. As I said, it's stainless. I don't know if I can get a, let me see if I can get a good reflection in there. There you go. See? They come clean pretty easily. Knock off some dust. You want to clean every surface all around here that fits into the caliper bracket. You want to make sure everything's clean on this. And the next step is to clean off the caliper bracket. That looks good. Let's get this guy. Did we get him? No, we didn't clean him yet. I'll let you clean that. I'll let my assistant clean that. And we'll get into this. And you see how rusty we are here? In there? That rust is what pushes the sliders in and grabs onto your brake pad and won't let go. Oh, it's really bad over here, see? Some chunks. So, the only reason I'm using this instead of that, this will get into those crevices a little better. Now, this isn't real chunky rusty. So I'm not worried about shining up the rust just to have it still be there. Alright. Looking good. Let's get these back in. See this little curved part here? That always faces top. So, let me grease. I'm going to put a little grease behind here. Keep that from rusting. So it doesn't jack the brake pads. Not much. Don't need a whole lot. Don't let it get on the inside here. That'll touch your brake pad, your brake rotor. You don't want grease on a brake rotor. You won't stop. Get a little more. There we go. And get it in that corner. Okay. That's good enough. Try not to have too much grease on you, because then you have to touch the rotor and you don't want that greased up. Alright. Like I showed you, that flange sits right there. You'll feel it crunch in there because there's a little tab. I don't know if you can see it. Tab right there. That grabs onto the inside of these two ears. You want that to grab in as far back as you can get it. So let's get the other one on. crunches here and there. You'll know you got it in when it doesn't move when you push on it. If it springs back, you don't have it in right. Okay, that's all done. It's all in. I don't see a need to do any grease on this because it's stainless. It doesn't have rust jacking problems on stainless. All right. It's about time to put this guy back. Let's see. Let me check the greasing. Which one was? You feel good. Could use a little more. Just put a little more on there. Okay. Don't want it too thick. Too much grease in there will cause it to hydrolock in the caliper, and then your piston will bounce back because it's got a cushion of air that it's going to be pushing against. You want the air to be able to slide back and forth on it. So you just want to grease it up like that. And then make sure the sleeve is over the top. And that feels better. All right, good to go. All right, let's put them back. Get the 2 bolts. Got the 2 big bolts. And you point these to the rear, to the inside of the car. All right, we can't put him back yet. We gotta do the rotor. Let's get this cleaned off. Quickly wipe off the excess grease that's on here. These bare metal ones, they pack in grease so that they can sit on a shelf and not rust before you get them. All right, and enough of the grease off. Now I try to look for, there's a mark from one of the screw holes. Could be another mark, yep, right there. I'm going to try to line them up just in case that rust is sticking out a little too far. There. So now it's sitting flat on there. And you can see there's no run out. And now we can put the bracket on. Alright, I do this by feel. There's the hole. Where's the hole? Down here. Let's get the second one started. Here's the hole. Always start your screws fingers first. Start using power tools or hand tools too rough. You're gonna very easily cross thread them. I'm going to tighten it up a little more after this. Alright, we did it again.
It should be underneath over there.
I get it pretty tight with just a 18-inch breaker bar. Here's the old German system of good and tight. There we go. That won't be coming off soon. Nothing hits when this thing is flush. That's good. Alright, caliper's ready. Let's get the brake pads in. Now these have a weird spring doohickey here to keep them pushed up like that. So you're going to have to insert them a certain way, which is that way, push down and then push it in. There we go. Got the pads in, and now we can slide the caliper back over. Almost done. See, you got a little room there. That's why we screwed in that thing. Alright, let's get those 2 bolts. Alright. There we go. Screw it in. 1. Okay. Got the screw started. Let's get the second one done. Those don't have to be torqued down as hard because there's really no force on them except this way. Nothing is trying to knock them out, so get them tight but not too tight. I'm not sure the torque spec, but I know it's in inch pounds and not foot pounds, so it's pretty light. Everything's all set to go. Time for the wheel. Sometimes this is the hardest part. Put one lug up top, have one lug here, one hole facing up top. And it went right on. Hand tight all of your nuts. Before you even think about using a power tool. Because the last thing you want is for those to be cross-threaded. Alright, everything's started. I'll give them an obligatory snug them up. Okay, that's snug enough to put it on the ground. I'm going to get out a torque wrench, torque them to about 90 foot-pounds. All right, now let's get the jack. I didn't show us putting it on the jack. There is a jack stand there. Alright, start bringing it up. I'll line her up when we get close. That's good. Okay, crank it up. Okay, jack stand is out, and we can drop it. Not a fun noise. So that's about it, folks. All that's left to do is to torque the nuts to the proper foot-pounds and break in the new brakes. Hope this was helpful. Hope it will be short enough for everybody to get a good look at how it's done and why. I'll see you again on another episode of Dad's Diag.